Democrat right now that is making her way into the race. Her name is Kim Meyers. She's on the line now. Kim, good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, I'd just like to get your take on, a lot of people blaming legislators from the top all the way down to local governments on continued unfunded mandates and mandates that are forced onto police officers and placing them in a position where they have to be more than just police officers. They have to do so much today. What are your thoughts on what's going on in the world right now? Our world.
It certainly are very turbulent times, and having spent 18 years on the school board, I do know what unfunded mandates are,
Sure.
And they are difficult to navigate. And we do have to, look at that and look at police officers, school districts, municipalities. Once you get down to even the local level, what is being pushed down and the expectation of services are need to be provided by those that's not necessarily what they're necessarily trained to do, nor do they have the funding to do that.
All right. And yes, in school districts, that's been the big thing. These mandates coming down from the governor's office, and these schools are left to try to figure it out. Meanwhile, funding and aid is decreased.
Absolutely. It's a very difficult balance, and the children are the ones that suffer.
All right, let's talk about who you are. Who is Karen Meyers, and why are you running for Congress?
Kim.
Well,
Kim
first,
Myers,
my
I'm
name
sorry.
is Kim,
I got
not Karen.
Well, it's our first time here, Kim. I apologize. So who is?
No problem. I'm just teasing you, but yes,
Yep.
I'm Kim Meyers, born and raised in Binghamton, New York, down here in Broome County. Raised in a family business that my dad started with $300 that he borrowed from his grandmother, literally from her cookie jar, and he started Dick's Clothing and Sporting Goods. My siblings and I bought the two stores business from my dad in the mid-'80s, and under my brother's leadership and vision has grown to Dick's Sporting Goods as it is now with over 600 stores.
Yeah.
I am who I am because of that experience. We know what it's like to grow a business and to work hard, integrity, commitment. And I'm married to my husband for 36 years next week. We have 6 children. The oldest is 34 years old. The youngest is only 8 years old. I had my own small business, which was a children's clothing and toy store, so I also bring that experience of a small business owner. Spent 18 years, as I mentioned, on the Vestal Board of Education, and 8 years of those as president. And I'm currently a Broome County legislator and minority leader as well.
So why a run for Congress? What has prompted you?
Well, the very truth of the matter is that I decided that I had to either stop screaming at the television set or I had to do something. And I've always been a person of action and not one to just point fingers and say this is terrible, but to get involved. And the 22nd District, Broome County, is, as I said, this is my home. This is where I was born and raised, and it will always be my home. It's a great place to live and raise a family. And we need somebody in Washington that will help create jobs here, bring a business-friendly environment here to help grow the jobs that we do have. And I would love for my children, as 2 of them are married, to settle here and raise their family in the beautiful upstate area. So I feel we need somebody in Washington who's going to bring some common sense solutions to 22nd and to the nation. And that's where I think that I can bring that common sense. I don't really care if an idea is a Republican idea or a Democratic idea. If it's a good idea, we need to work towards it and we need to implement it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping to do.
All right. We're talking to Kim Meyers. She's the Democrat running for Congress. Christine Bellino has a question. Christine, go ahead.
Kim, how do you distinguish yourself with voters from Claudia, with whom many Republican voters may find that they actually are relating more to you instead of Claudia?
Well, I can just have voters relate to me only by who I am. And who I am is somebody that, as I said, brings common sense solutions to problems. I have a history of looking at what the situation is and looking at all sides of it and coming up with a common sense solution that's going to work for everyone. I also have had the experience that you're not going to please everyone, and when you look at all sides, you have to make the decision that's best for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Where are you on Congressman Hanna? Some of the decisions that he's made, of course, he stepped away from the Republican Party on a few issues. One of them being women's health care and choice. The other, I know on the Benghazi issue, he really criticized what he called a witch hunt with going after Hillary Clinton. Where are you on Richard Hanna? Where do you differ on him on issues that he's been on?
Well, and Richard Hanna, I am definitely admire him for having the courage, because I believe in Washington right now it does take a great deal of courage in order to not stick with the party votes, and that you have to be your own person, and that's where I plan to be as well. I admire him for and agree with him about his votes on women's issues. I think that's a key issue that I absolutely agree with him on. There are other issues as far as different, policies, such as, not necessarily Benghazi. I think that he, might have had a point there, that it was investigated over and over and over again, and I just think it's time for us to stop looking at what divides us and start looking at what unites us, and I know in the 22nd. What unites us is the need for a growing economy and to bring additional jobs to this area.
Are you pro-choice?
I am pro-choice.
Where are you on guns? There's been a lot of talk right now, especially from the Democrats, that to solve the problem we're looking at with these mass shootings, although the latest have been really taking us off track, I guess, a little bit. But where are you on the issue of gun control?
That's interesting, because I don't understand and I don't agree with what seems to be an all-or-nothing solution to guns. As someone who was raised in a business that sells guns and ammunition, and I understand and respect lawful gun ownership, absolutely, the Second Amendment stands, and I agree with the Second Amendment, but I think that it's a long overdue conversation about how can we have some reasonable gun legislation. Someone that is a possible terrorist that is on the no-fly list, is it reasonable that they should be allowed to go in and buy a gun? I don't think so. Is it reasonable that somebody with a history of violent mental illness should be able to buy a gun? I don't think so. So I'm on guns. I'm for reasonable and not even remotely any conversation about violating the Second Amendment.
Do you feel there's been a lot of talk about these assault rifles, which really these are guns that are semi-automatic. They're dressed up to look like they're military style, but people become afraid, and that was part of the SAFE Act. Where are you on that weapon?
On that weapon, we need to have a discussion, but I think the opening conversation is on let's just start the conversation with what is reasonable. There's great controversy on what defines an assault weapon, what defines a semi-automatic, weapon, and quite frankly, those are weapons of war, and it doesn't seem like anybody has the conversation that the Supreme Court actually has ruled on the Second Amendment. And they have ruled that, yes, the Second Amendment stands, and that there is a ruling but you do not have the right to own any particular gun, such as weapons of war. You can't have a surface-to-air missile in your backyard.
Right. And Andrew with a question.
So, what was your reaction to some of the other Democratic Congress people at the end of session? I believe it was before the July 4th holiday. What was your reaction to how they handled their sit-in? Yeah,
I actually thought that was a great message, that it's long overdue, and I applaud them for trying. I understand they couldn't get a vote to come up on the floor, and it was unfortunate that some of the opponents would not cast their signature or their vote to at least bring it up for a vote on the floor. And that certainly does appear to be strictly politically motivated, since overwhelmingly majority of people in the United States have come, and in any poll you take, have come out for reasonable gun legislation. And in an election year, they refuse to take a vote because that would mean that each person would actually have to be on record as to their stance. And I thought it was unfortunate, and I thought it was courageous of the Democrats to at least bring it to the attention.
And your thoughts on the President Obama, and the job that he has done? Where are you there?
President Obama, I think, has done, as any president, he has done some things very well, and he's other things that maybe he could have done a better job. Certainly, I don't think whoever is the commander-in-chief of the United States in these days, with the absolute gridlock, has much chance of accomplishing their agenda, much less the agenda that the United States citizens would like to see. And that's where I am very optimistic that there will be, across the country, other people like myself who are working very hard to get elected to Congress to say this has to stop. The gridlock has to absolutely stop, and we have to work together, and we have to work for the salary and for the reason that we're elected, and that's to help the American citizens. And that's not happening in Washington. But I'm very hopeful that others like myself will be elected, and that we can get moving.
Last question that I really have for you today is the difference. You're from the Binghamton area. This is a pretty large district. And the issue of the new casino that has been planned and going in down your way versus the lawsuit that the Oneida Nation had up here to prevent that from happening. Where do you land on that?
Well, there has been a settlement with New York State and with the federal government on that, and I know that the casino down here it's in Tioga County, farther west from me, that doesn't reside in the 22nd. It will be an economic boom. There was, as you might recall, there was a lot of competition for that casino, definitely down in Broome County, and one of them was going to be in Broome County, which was not going to be. It didn't seem like that would really be feasible. So the idea that it's going to be where there already is the racetrack in Tioga Downs, I think is a good fit.
All right. One final. We're going to see a lot more of you now. I mean, we're underway. We'll be going into August before you know it, and this November election, believe it or not, coming very quickly. What's your plan, and how will you move forward after today?
Yes, it is coming very quickly, and I will continue to get out and meet as many voters as possible. I look forward to spending a lot of time in Utica and the other 7 additional counties that the 22nd touches. And as I've already found it fascinating to meet a variety of different people with different issues. And I look forward to all the issues that individuals would like to bring up to me, and see how we can work together to solve them and to grow jobs in the economy in the 22nd, which would certainly benefit everyone.
By the way, do you know a Karen Meyers? Is there a Karen Meyers?
I have a sister-in-law named Karen, but she has a different last name.
Okay.
No problems.
All right. Well, listen, we appreciate your time. Kim Meyers, we hope to talk to you again, and maybe we'll have you in studio. And,
that'd be great.
We'd love to chat. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Kim Meyers. I can't believe I called her Karen, but it was just, I don't know, faux pas. Maybe I knew a Karen Meyers from a previous time. Yeah. I don't know.